I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kira.
And we are the Keepers of the Books, your online librarians. And we are here with a weekly reads episode.
Carnival Magic by Amie and Ephron. Tess and Max are going to the carnival, and when they get there, they go to this psychic's wagon. And some weird things happen while they're there. At the end of the day, when the carnival closes, they can't leave. And they basically get roped into becoming carnies, and they need to escape. No one knows how to get out of this loop that they're stuck in this carnival. While they're there, they meet two other carnival people whose sister has disappeared, who was part of the carnival. Can they figure out what happened to her? And can they save her? Can they ever get back to their own time? You'll have to find out. This is a fun-filled thriller with fantasy and adventure and mystery all intermixed. I liked how engaging the characters were, and the narrator did a great job of bringing to life their voices and making them very easily distinguished. For fans of fantasy adventure, you'll want to pick up Carnival Magic. I'd recommend this for grades 4 through 7 or grades ages 9 to 13. A younger reader could also enjoy this if they're a little bit better reader. This is a review copy from Random House Audio.
Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales. This is read by F. Murray Abraham and an ensemble cast. The original music was done by Michael Bacon, and he did a great job. So every story has music, kind of beginning and end type thing in between. And I really liked the music. It was really well composed. This is a review copy from the publisher. So let me read the stories that this covers. The Princess and the Pea, Thumbelina, The Emperor's New Clothes, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, Ugly Duckling, The Little Mermaid, The Little Match Girl, The Wild Swans, The Nightingale, The Snow Queen, The Will-o'-the-Wisp Are in Town, Said the Bog, Witch, The Rags, The Adventures of a Thistle, Luck Can Be Found in a Stick, and The Days of the Week. So some of these are more common fairy tales that you know in some form or another. Maybe not the original. These are the original form. And some of these are ones you may not have heard before. They're a little less common. The main narrator is fantastic. He won an Academy Award for Amadeus. He's an actor. And I love when they have actors doing the audiobooks. I think they do a fantastic job. There's something that actors bring to the audiobooks that I don't think that it used to not be there, and now it is. And so I think they're responsible for audiobooks being such high quality nowadays. The original music for each story does fit each story well, and that's hard to describe. You need to hear it. The narrator's voice is enchanting and soothing. It does draw you in deeper to the story. And these are stories, for most of them you already know them. Not always a happy ending. Fairy tales are only happy in Disney. Disney and Rodgers and Hammerstein. I like Hans Christian Andersen a lot better than the Grimm brothers.
They're a little less morbid.
You're not going to completely creep out your children if you read them to them. Whereas if you're the Grimm brothers to your children, you probably should be taken to a psychiatrist. In the original versions, yes. They are not children's stories. Ages 9 and up.
Invasion of the Scorpions by Bruce Hale. Okay. This takes place at Monte Rosa Elementary, where if you can piece that title together, there are monsters at the school. Now, there's weird smells coming from the hallways and classrooms, which we would call stink bombs, but apparently they think they're ghosts because there are other phenomenons that suggest probably ghosts setting off stink bombs. What happens is one of the students disappears, and when they find him, he has fallen into a coma. It's up to Carlos and Benny to figure out what has happened. Why did this kid fall in a coma? And he's not exactly a very beloved person in the book, this one who's fallen into the coma, so it's up to them to solve the mystery. Which monster could it possibly be?
Hey, that's a cool cover.
I don't know if you guys can see this on camera.
They can see it.
But it's holographic.
Oh, they can.
You can. It's the coolest cover. And they're all like this. I love these just so I can play with the covers. So other ones in the series include The Curse of the Were Hyena and Mutant Mantis Lunch Ladies. But you do not have to read them in order. For fans of monsters, horror, school fiction, and mystery, you'll want to pick this one up because it is a delight to read and it's very enchanting, engaging. I can't believe I just called a horror enchanting, but it is. This is great for anyone who has liked things like Goosebumps. This is a review copy from Disney Hyperion. I would recommend this for grades 4 through 7 or ages 8 to 13.
Letters to Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. Kemmerer is grades 8 and up or ages 14 and up. This one has alternating chapters, so you have Juliet and Declan. Juliet's mom is killed by a drunk driver, and she leaves letters at the cemetery to her mother to help with her coping with grief, the grief of that loss. She feels that no one can understand what she's going through, and her grief is just beyond their understanding. And she feels like her dad has become withdrawn. And then you have Declan. Declan's dad killed his sister, and the dad is in jail. He blames himself, and he has community service at the cemetery because he's become kind of a troubled teen. Okay. So after his dad's gone and his sister's dead, he becomes a troubled teen. Basically, he steals his dad's car, he gets drunk, he crashes it into a building, and now he's got community service at the cemetery. He hates his stepfather. While he's at the cemetery, he finds Juliet's letters, and he starts writing back to her. So first she's like, this is a total invasion of my privacy, but she writes back, and they form a relationship through these letters. They both blame themselves for their loved ones' deaths, and they connect through these anonymous letters, but in person, these two are not the kind who would normally interact with each other at all. And in real life, they kind of hate each other, actually. So you have a very honest book looking at real life problems. And it's realistic fiction, and I loved this book in the fact that it was completely engaging and that it dealt with real issues. So it wasn't a realistic fiction that felt like it was just dealing with everyday teen life for the average teen, because there are teens who are really dealing with the deaths of loved ones. And I know I did look up some other reviews on this book, and they're like, oh, I don't want my child reading about drunk drivers. And I'm sorry, but that's real life. There are plenty of teens and even younger ones dealing with loved ones who have been killed by drunk drivers. I think I was in junior high when our step-cousin was killed by a drunk driver. Really good book. I really highly recommend this for libraries and for people who like to read this kind of book.
As You Wish by Chelsea Sedoti. This book takes place in Mojave, in a town where when you reach a certain age, everybody gets one wish. It's like this big secret that only the town knows. But everybody loves this wish. And you have to actually go like a class to figure out what kind of wish you want to have granted. But they always seem to go wrong. And people end up, as far as Eldon can see, they all seem to regret their wishes. At least his mom and dad do. And he doesn't know if he wants to take his wish. If they're always going astray, what's the point? But he's feeling all this pressure around him from other people to get his wish. Will he take it, or will he decide to not take it? What happens if you don't ask for a wish? This is a magical realism book. You have the pains of growing up and losing friends and self-discovery, as well as loss and friendship and love with the magical elements. For fans of that kind of book, you would definitely enjoy this book. I would recommend this for grades 7 and up. This is a review copy from SourceBooks. So grades 7 and up or ages 12 and up.
Mary's Monster, Love, Madness, and How Mary Shelley Created Frankenstein by Lita Jeffs. So this one has amazing illustrations, and I don't have it here with us, but it conveys emotion. These pictures convey just beauty and complete emotion and hatred and ugliness. And it depends which picture and which piece of which picture. Sometimes it incorporates both. This book is definitely grades 9 and up or ages 15 and up because it deals with concepts like affairs, opium, some mature content. Some of it is slightly on page, but it is fairly tasteful in how it is done considering the topics. And this is the illustrated biography of Mary Shelley's life and the pieces of her life that most influenced her to create Frankenstein. So she just had this tortured, tumultuous, horrible childhood, and her teens and early 20s were no different. Her life was devoid of real love and normalcy, complicated, abnormal. She lost multiple children. She was in love with a man who was married to another woman and was having a relationship with her sister. And basically she saw herself as Frankenstein and this monster. And so it's really interesting how it conveys all of that and her life. But this book and Frankenstein basically were her drive for love that she just couldn't find in life. Wow. So this is a great biography, a great illustrated biography. I really thought it was interesting to see what went into Frankenstein, which is pretty much the first horror novel, or it's considered the first major horror novel. It's kind of that Gothic time period. Wow, I had no idea what her life was. But anyways, great book for collections who need some biographies. Or if you're just interested in Frankenstein, I think it would be a great companion. So the illustrations in Mary's Monster are black and white sketches, but with a lot of detail.
Sam and Elsa's Last Hurrah. So Sam and Ilsa are two twins. They're a little on the spoiled side, rich spoiled side. And they are used to throwing awesome dinner parties for their friends at their grandmother's penthouse. And they're about to graduate, and so they decide to have one last final party. But the rules are that they can't share each other's invites with each other. And there's some history there that gets in the way, and it ends up backfiring. Can they pull off the best party ever? And will they succeed in getting their wish? You'll have to find out.
This is from the authors of Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. So if you saw the movie or if you read the book. So this is
actually by Rachel Keown and David Leviathan, two of my favorite authors, and I would recommend it. I'd say due to some more mature content, grades 9 and up, or ages 15 and up.
Review copy from Knopf.
So the characters in this were engaging, and I think they would appeal to a lot of teenagers. The plot moved along quickly and was funny and enjoyable to read. Quick read for anyone who just wants something a little on the fluffier side, or if you just want a fun, silly, romantic comedy.
Let's talk about Brazen by Penelope Bagieu. I don't know how you say this. It's Bagieu. This is Rebel Ladies Who Rock the World. Book 2 is in the works, and this is from First Second Press. First Second Press I always read before I put in my middle school library because it's not always appropriate. They are edgy, and this book is, as it says, Brazen. This was originally written in French and translated into 11 different languages. If you're reading in a different language or a different country, some of the stories and which ones are in here will have been edited. Like, one of the stories was considered too brazen for Americans, but not for the French. Around the world, it's changed which ones, by culture. There is sexual innuendo aplenty and other very mature content. Not very mature, but mature. So I'm going to say grades 10 and up or ages 15 and up, while the publisher says ages 12 and up. Now, that is coming from a school library media perspective. In a public library, I would put this in, wouldn't worry about it. I would hand this to, if I had a 13-year-old girl and I knew she was mature enough for it, I'd give it to her. But in a school library, we walk a fine line between censorship and age appropriate. And there's content in here that's
more conservative schools might not want to include.
And I work at a more conservative school. I'd put it in the high school in an area though. There are 29 short graphic novel biographies in here. Very short. And they introduce women to 29 amazing readers. In the French version, there's 30. These are lesser known women for the most part, and they've done some amazing influential things. And you will know what they have done even though you may not know their names in a lot of their stories. And they did clean this up for the North American version. It is still very edgy, and I did love it. I learned about some women I didn't know about. The pictures inside are feminine. Some of these women, you will know who they are, but you may not know their story, if that makes any sense.
I love the pill to cover.
The stories are told, these are complex stories of people's lives, but told in a very minimalistic format, which was pretty cool. So it's kind of just an introduction to all of them. Some of the women. So Margaret Hamilton's one of them. Las Mariposas, most probably don't know. Annette Kellerman is an actress. And Agno Dicey was the first female gynecologist. Wu Zetian, Empress. Josephine Baker.
Temple Grandin, I know that name.
And the Shags, some rock stars you may or may not want to know. Peggy Guggenheim. Betty Davis. So some of these women, the pictures are on page and very suggestive of what they did. Some of them were burlesque dancers, but there was more to them. But you didn't want to cover people like you knew as well. Anyway, so book 2 is coming. I did like this, and this was a great feminist book, I guess, for girls to see what power women can have throughout history. These are 3 books that I know you have heard about, and if you want to know more, there are lots of booktubers who have reviewed these in depth, probably giving away every spoiler there is for some of them. You can listen to their thoughts on every chapter if you would like, because this is a great series. Now, I know even adult guys who just love the series, especially the audiobook. So let's start. I don't want to go into them too deeply, but I want to talk about the audio. Basically, these are sci-fi books. You have basically Evil Hal. So these are by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. Illuminate, Gemina, and Obsidio. Narrator for this one is Olivia Taylor Dudley, Lincoln Hope, Jonathan McLean. The narrator for Gemina is Carla Covo, Steve West, and it's a full cast audio. They are all full cast audio, complete with sound effects like Kira likes, and PJ Auckland. And Obsidio is narrated by, of course, the same people. They cross over in book 3. The two ships cross. Well, they all go together. Taylor Dudley, Carla Covo, and more. The audio were review copies from Knopf. Well, Obsidio was. I had to catch up on the series because I hadn't read them yet. They're told as a series of like case files, notes on a record, notes from computer files, and some of them are very more picturesque. And so I wondered how they were going to narrate some of this, and they did amazing. Even though like you'd think it's a very graphic page to read, graphic as in illustrated, they did fantastic. Especially even the one with all the pictures of people. There's language and violence and some sexual innuendo, so I'm going to say grades 8 and up or ages 13 and up for these books. Okay, 6 words for this entire series. 6-word review. Think I can do it?
Possibly.
Star Trek meets Hal meets Alien. See, your perfect story. Okay, but they make Hal look like a nice computer.
Hal 9000.
Hal 9000. If you don't know who he is, you can look him up. Okay.
But you should learn.
Hal is a very nice computer compared to Aiden. And yes, so Star Trek meets Hal meets Alien. This is a spoiler. This is book 3 I'm talking about, and it's going to spoil book 1 and 2 if you don't already know what happened. You may want to not listen to the rest of the review. You've probably heard enough to want to read it. Seriously, the best sound effects I've ever heard in an audiobook. The best. You've even got like the space. Okay, well, technically space is a vacuum and it doesn't have sound, but it has a sound in the audiobook and in every Star Trek show you ever see.
It does.
But technically, real life, it's a vacuum, no sound. Remember that for your physics test, guys.
Geek.
Hey, I'm a nerd. Or geek, what's the difference anymore? Anyway, I actually liked listening to this better than I liked reading it, but I still like to go look at the graphics, so I kind of kept both together. And the different voices help immensely at keeping the plethora of characters straight between these 3 books. They really give them personality and bring life to the story that is told through basically files that have ended up in court. So book 3, Obsidio. Katie, Ezra, Hannah, and Nick have all escaped the Heimdall and fixed the hole in the universe, but you don't know that really until book 3. So now they're refugees with 2,000 others on Mal, which is another ship, and they're trying to return to Carenza. They're low on provisions, they're low on air for multiple reasons, and Baytek is still out for blood. So Aisha has joined the underground resistance on Carenza, and she runs into an old boyfriend, Ray's. He shows up, but he's on Baytek side, and so she's wondering, well, can I trust him? Can I turn him? You got all your characters from book 1 and 2 they come together. You get some new characters in there. There are lots of surprises, lots and lots of surprises and plot lines that have been developing across the series for a while. Of course, there's Aiden. If you like this series, you're gonna like Empress of a Thousand Skies. That's by Beliza. If you like Starflight or Starfall, this is even more in depth into that type of a world. And I loved Starflight and Starfall. Those are by Landers. And this is the end of the series. So it's over and I love the conclusion. This was a great series. And the audiobooks were fantastic. Seriously, some of the best audiobooks I've heard in a long time. Obsidio was a review copy from Knopf.
Scorched by Kevin Hearn. Atticus is the main character and he is a druid, and he accidentally unleashes Loki / starts Ragnarok. Lovely. Basically, the Norse gods say, it's your mess, clean it up. So he's charged with stopping Ragnarok from destroying the whole world.
I think I've seen this story.
Now his friend Owen Kennedy is trying to help him out, and he gets sent by the elementals, which kind of control the druids, to stop something else from happening in the far north. And these are all linked together. Can they stop Ragnarok from happening and save the world as they know it? Now, for fans of Thor or Magnus Chase, this is a good book for you if you're an adult. It is definitely an adult book. There's some more mature content, but it was engaging. I loved the narration. Each voice is very easily distinguished. The narrator definitely nails the accents. For fans of Norse mythology, fantasy, adventure, you'll want to pick this one up. It's a review copy from the publisher.
those are our weekly reads for the week. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you subscribe and hit the bell notification, you will actually get notifications about when new videos come out. If you don't hit the bell, sorry. Whenever YouTube feels like it, you may get a notification. Thank you for watching, and in the comments below, put if there's any books you'd recommend to anybody else. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.
Bye.